Hello, everyone. So, welcome to the second session in our monthly current affairs series. And we have done governance one, and this is the governance two. Let's start. So, the first one, that is with respect to the agriculture and economy. The first one is the some testing farm machinery performance testing portal has been created. Now, first, let us discuss the idea behind it. The idea behind is that we need to provide ease of doing business in the agri mechanization field. Now, for India, you need some specific agricultural machines. Why? Because of the extent of the small and the marginal farmers is far too much. So we need to work on that aspect. So we need to have very customized kind of mechanism or mechanization that is for the agriculture. And this particular testing portal has been established to create ease of doing business vis-a-vis the testing of these machines, so as to provide standardization, right? So it will facilitate the manufacturers in applying, communicating and monitoring the progress of the testing to reduce this corruption and all which is there. For example, testing, you need to pay some money, and so these kind of things can be avoided. So it will services of farm machine testing institution and create a transparency in the process of testing and the evaluation of the those machines. This is very important, especially these are the small initiatives. If you write in your mains examination, these are very effective. Why? Because one of the problems that our agriculture faces is the lack of the mechanization. That is, a lot of things are done manually. You need to extend economies of scale, and the farmers needs to be benefited if they can use the machines. It will improve the quality, the standard, and reduce the time as well, and reduce the cost of input as well. Chalo, let us discuss next one, that is Kisan Rail. Now, Kisan Rail, the idea of the Kisan Rail has come in the Union Budget of 2021. The idea is very easy. The idea is that these perishable goods which are there in agriculture, for example, from farms, they will be connected to the places, for example, cities where these are consumed, where the demand of these perishable goods, whether it be the green vegetables, whether it be the fruits, is high. So when this demand is high, they can be sent through the rails. That is the idea. So bringing the perishable agricultural goods like vegetable and the fruits in a very short period of time. If they are done in the frozen containers, then it will create the cold supply chain infrastructure as well. Now in the December month, it's a September current affair, but in the December month itself, Prime Minister has launched this 100th Kisan Rail, and he has said that it will transform the economies of the Indian agriculture. You can also see in the context of the Kisan movement or the farmer protests going on near Delhi. Now, obviously, a lot of steps will be taken, and there will be a lot of limelight. These initiatives will be there in the limelight as well, because the government trying to justify that what are the things they have done for the farmers. That's the idea. Next one, again, Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. It's a scheme which was announced way back. We have discussed that last year as well. Very important scheme, a flagship scheme you can see in the Ministry of Fisheries. So one different ministry has been created, Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry. Mr. Giriraj Singh, the member of parliament from Begusarai, Bihar, is the minister of it. So the idea is that it will bring about the blue revolution through sustainable and responsible development of the fishery sector in India. This is an overarching umbrella scheme. So it was the first ever investment of 20,050 crore were being made in the fishery sector. Under this scheme, a lot of different components are there. For example, two components of this scheme is there. First component is the centrally sponsored scheme, and one is the central sector scheme. Central sector scheme, 100% money will be given by the center. Whereas in the centrally sponsored scheme, some component will be given by the center and some will be contributed by the states. Plus, there is also a component of the beneficiary share. That means, for example, some component has to be transferred by the beneficiary and the other component will be shared by the center. Okay. It seeks to adopt a cluster based on area based approach under the Ministry of Fisheries. Chalo. So you can see center sector scheme. So center sector scheme, 100% center funding is there. In the centrally sponsored scheme, which is one is non-beneficiary oriented and one is beneficiary oriented. When this is beneficiary oriented, the beneficiary has just have to give 60% of the cost, 40% will be shared. Like that component. Not too much going too much into it, but remember, it is not a single scheme. That means it has both the components, center sector scheme and centrally sponsored scheme. That is the idea. and whole those 20,000 crore will be spent over the 5 years. Now that's why these schemes becomes very, very important. For example, in your mains also there is one topic that is economics of animal rearing. In that, these schemes are very important. If you recall, last time in the August month we have discussed agricultural infrastructure fund. There also huge funds have been given over a period of 10 years, because the idea is the prosperity in the agricultural sector and the beginning on the doubling the farmers income. Now you can see aims and objective. All these points can be very effective for your mains answers. So harnessing the fishery potential in sustainable, responsible, inclusive and equitable manner, enhancing the fish production and productivity value chain, and you can read them up. Within this Prime Minister Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, you have the another scheme within this umbrella scheme, and this is eGopala app. So this is e-governance initiative. What is this? Very basic idea. These are the farmers. This is the, let's say, manufacturer or companies. Those who produce, let's say, this germplasm, or those produce these, let's say, medicines for their farm, for the this animal feeds. But there is no digital platform on which these two are connected. So there is no marketplace of ideas or the marketplace to connect these two things. Just like, for example, Urban Clap, Urban Company, an app, and Urban Company. Just like it's a Swiggy thing. So Swiggy for these people. So creating a one marketplace for these. So they will be registered here, they will be registered here, and they will avoid all the middleman which was there earlier. So this app will create a market-based system for them to get all these products in. So this is the idea behind the eGopala app. So eGopala app is a comprehensive breed improvement marketplace and information portal for direct use of the farmers. There is at present there is no digital platform is available in the country for the farmers managing the livestock, including the selling disease-free germplasm, availability of the quality breeding services, guiding farmer for animal nutrition. So whatever animals need, that kind of things are not there, right? For example, treatment of animal using the appropriate medicine, that is not there. eGopala app will free the farmers from the middleman. This is what PM Modi says. So there is no mechanism to alert on the due date of vaccination, for example. So as to avoid all these things, they have come up with this eGopala app. So pregnancy diagnosis, calving, among the other issues, inform farmers about the various government schemes, campaigns. eGopala app will provide solutions to the farmer on all these solutions under the overarching umbrella of the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. So what you need to remember, Matsya Sampada Yojana, within the Matsya Sampada Yojana, this particular scheme is there. Okay? Chalo. Last one, not very important, but can be a good case study as well. So this is the World Food System Vision Prize 2020. Now this prize is been given by the Rockefeller Foundation. The idea is from the name itself, Food System Vision Prize. So those who have the vision for the food systems for the future. For example, vision of the regenerative and the nourishing food system. Because also we not have the problem of the food security, but the nutritional security problem that is there, right? So we need to tackle that problem of nutritional security also. So by 2050, so those who will give an idea according to it, they will be given the prize. So Nandi, a non-profitable organization from Hyderabad, was working with the tribal farmers in the Araku Valley in Andhra Pradesh, and they have got this particular prize because of the vision that they have presented. The vision in the name of the Arakunomics. They will become some sort of money and appreciation and all these things. Araku Valley is there in Andhra Pradesh. It's last year we have read this Araku Valley. They won some gold medal for the best coffee pod in somewhere. The location that we need to keep in mind, it is near Visakhapatnam, that is in Andhra Pradesh. This is the Araku Valley. Okay? Chalo. So remember, Wood Prize Foundation, Food Prize Award by the Rockefeller Foundation given to the Nandi, a Hyderabad non-profit organization working in the Araku Valley tribals in the Andhra Pradesh for last 20 years. Next is the some e-governance initiative. The first one is IRAD app, that is Integrated Road Accident Database Project. Integrated Road Accident Database Project to enhance the road safety. So who is doing the work here? IIT Madras. So idea is what? The idea is that we almost lose around 1,50,000 people every year in the road accident. That is the context. And one of the things that is done to reduce these accidents, for example, Motor Vehicle Act has been passed. For example, such apps are being developed. We need to find these blind spots. We need to work on the engineering side of things as well. So working on this engineering side of things, we have to develop such apps. For example, in IIT Madras is implemented with the NIC, that is National Informatics Center. So idea is that whenever an accident happens, right, so along with the photos and videos, unique ID will be created for that accident. Now all the informations which is there, now engineer from the public works department or local body will receive an alert about the accident site. He will go there, he will examine, data will be collected and will be analyzed by the expert teams, and that expert teams will analyze the data and I'll highlight that why the accident has happened. Was it because of the driver's fault or was it because of the engineering fault? And if it is because of the road design, that they will correct it. So that is the idea behind the IRAD app, Integrated Road Accident Database Project. ठीक है, चलो. The next scheme, Ghar Tak Fiber scheme. From the name itself, Ghar Tak means till home. So getting this optical fiber till home, that is the idea. So it's being executed by a SPV, Special Purpose Vehicle, by the Department of Telecommunication, Common Service Center, E-Governance Services Limited, and Special Purpose Vehicle in the Ministry of Information and Electronics and IT, that is MEIT. So idea is that they will connect the homes with the optical fiber. That was announced by the Prime Minister as well on the 15th of August. Okay, we'll discuss somewhere about BharatNet scheme, very old scheme, but again it is revamped again and again, and we'll discuss that scheme in detail. Now some good governance initiative. We'll also discuss some state governments initiative. First one is the Back to Village program. Now Back to Village program is done in the Jammu and Kashmir. So the idea is that it will provide the pro governance Back to Village program so as to provide the grievance redressal to the villagers. Now if you have seen, one of the major idea of the governance in these places, for example, what you have done, you have reduced the status of Jammu and Kashmir from a state to a union territory. Now, when you have reduced the state to a union territory, what this government is looking at, that is strengthening this grassroots leadership. That is why a lot of focus has been there on meeting with the, for example, you can see the outreach of the BJP to the grassroots leadership. So they want to have an alternative leadership in these places. And that is the idea that we need to, the strategy known as the winning the heart and mind, WAM strategy. Okay? So out of this Back to Village program is being done. So it is a pro governance initiative. Next is Sanskrit Gram, done in Uttarakhand, not very important. So in Uttarakhand, these Sanskrit Grams are created. From the name itself. Sanskrit Grams means some of in the villages they will take up, that's a pilot project, and they will teach these Sanskrit regularly, and they will use this Sanskrit as well. Not very important, but this Back to Village is important. Then very important scheme, that is 5-star village scheme. This 5-star village scheme, that means 5 stars that are there. Now 5 stars are given for the 5 schemes for the postal department. 5 flagship schemes for the postal department. For example, Saving Bank, Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, funded IBPP account, in that is post payment bank account. Then postal life insurance, rural postal life insurance, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana or Jeevan Jyoti Yojana. So all these 5 schemes that are there, and if you get enrolled in all the 5 schemes, you get 5 stars in a particular village. If you get enrolled in all the 4 schemes, you'll get 4 stars. So according to that, your system will be devised, and according to that, you will be given stars. Idea is to quantify that how many people or how many villages have been covered with such schemes. So scheme is launched on the pilot basis. Firstly in Maharashtra, if the village attains the universal coverage of all 4 schemes from the above list means the list that is given, the village will get 4 star. If the village completes 3 schemes, they will get the 3 star. Implemented by the team of 5 Gramin Dak Sevak, will be assigned a village for marketing all the products of the Department of Post under Ministry of Communication. Very easy. And all the 5 schemes we'll look at one by one, right? Somewhere we'll look all the schemes one by one. For example, Jeevan Jyoti, Suraksha Bima, These are the old schemes, not in the current affairs, so as to say. This scheme is in current affairs. So with this, we finish this particular session of governance 2. Now we'll move to IR in the next session. So before that, the 5 questions as we solve. Now the first question is, consider the following statement about the Northeastern Council. A statutory advisory body was constituted under the State Reorganization Act of 1956. Only the 7 sister states of Northeastern India are the members of this council. It functions under the Ministry of Home Affairs. So you pause the video and try to answer question. Common polity answer question. Now last year we have discussed about the zonal councils. So don't worry about last year, but we'll discuss it again. Now the idea of the zonal council has come after your State Reorganization Act. We all know that how much centrifugal tendencies were there when the country got independence in 1947. So finally in 1956, when the State Reorganization Act has come, what has been the idea that we also create the zonal councils. So for example, some southern states face some problems. So some local problems can be solved at this level. So this is the zonal council. The zonal councils are created as a statutory body under which act? Under the State Reorganization Act. However, one council was not created under this particular act, that is the Northeastern Council. So do you mean, we mean this 5 councils were created, but this Northeastern Council was not created. This Northeastern Council was created with a different act, that is North Council Act of 1972. Okay, so this act, this was created with the Northeast Council Act of 1972. Okay. So the first statement becomes wrong. Idea we have discussed, the cooperative federalism, so that all the schism, for example, we'll discuss here. So the idea is the center and the state can cooperate, secure political equilibrium, only deliberative and advisory body, emotional integration, and reduce schisms. So this is the zonal council. You can compare it with the, that is interstate council. Now, interstate council is a constitutional body. Remember that. Interstate council is a constitutional body. This is a statutory body. This is formed under a particular act. Okay. Who is the chairman of it? Common chairman is the home minister. Vice chairman of each council is the chief minister by rotation. 1 year at a time. The other members are home minister, chief minister, 2 ministers from each state, administrator of the union territory in the each zone. So not only the states, but also the union territories are also included. So these are your 5 councils which are created under your State Reorganization Act of 1956. Okay? You can remember the headquarters very easy. New Delhi, center ka tough hai, that is Allahabad, then Kolkata, then Mumbai, then Chennai. So Allahabad is one thing, that is Prayagraj, that you need to remember. About this Northeastern Council, it's a statutory advisory body again, came up in 1971, headquarter in Shillong, that is in Meghalaya. 8 states are there, not the 7 states. So 7 states plus 1, that is Sikkim, is also there in this particular council. So the second statement also becomes wrong. The headquarters of the council in Shillong functions under the Ministry of Donor, that is Ministry of Development of the Northeastern region. But the chairman is the Union Home Minister. So this is one thing that you need to remember. So the chairman is the Union Home Minister, but works under the Ministry of the Donor, that is Development of the Northeastern region. So all the statements are wrong. First statement, it is not constituted under this particular act, wrong. Only 7 sister, wrong. Under this ministry, wrong. So answer is none of the above. Next, previous year question. Economic justice as the objective of the Indian Constitution has been provided in the preamble and the fundamental rights, the preamble and DPSP, fundamental rights and DPSP, none of the above. Very easy question, but such conceptual questions are very, very important for us. Now, economic justice as an objective of the Indian Constitution is provided not in your fundamental rights, because the fundamental right is basically the idea that individual rights versus the excesses of the state. That is essentially that is the idea, right? So it is basically for the political justice, political rights which is given. All the social and the economic rights are not being done in the fundamental rights. So this is done in your preamble. For example, within your preamble, you can see justice, socio-economic and political. So economic justice. Within DPSP, you need to remember the article as well. So it is the article 39 specifically which is there, which talks about that. For example, article 38 also talks about that state being the welfare state. We have discussed that. Then you have the ownership and the control of the material resource of the community are distributed so as to best to subserve the common good. The operation of the economic system does not result in the concentration of the wealth and the means of production to the common detriment. Then there is an equal pay for equal work. That means economic justice for the gender as well. Okay? So this is your constitutional article under the DPSP which secures your economic justice. So answer will be preamble and your DPSP. Okay? Next question is Island Development Agency. Statement about the Island Development Agency. The meeting of the Island Development Agency are chaired by the Prime Minister. Next, it launched the holistic development of the island project to strengthen the infrastructure project for improving air, sea, and digital connectivity. It adopted the detailed master plan for holistic development of all islands in the Indian territory, including the inhabited and uninhabited ones as well. So pause the video and try to answer the question. It's a easy question that can be solved with a bit of trick as well. थोड़ा सा trick लगा के भी we can solve this question or we can eliminate few options. Now if you see the second statement, for example, second statement is very generic statement. So second statement is ought to be right, है ना? So when it is ought to be right, you can eliminate these two options. Also, if you see the third option, the all the islands. Now imagine India has so many islands, right? So many islands. For example, in the Lakshadweep itself is a bunch of island archipelago. Your Andaman and Nicobar, so many islands. So obviously the governments cannot reach up to these islands. Obviously this all islands cannot be developed simultaneously. The third statement becomes wrong. Now you are stuck with these two. Out of these two, second statement is obviously right and the first statement. So you have to check for the first statement. So even though you have not arrived at the answer, but obviously you have eliminated few answers and you have increased the probability of getting your answer right, isn't it? So on question one, that option one, that is meetings of the IDA are chaired by the Prime Minister. No, the chair of the Island Development Agency are done by the Amit Shah, that is the Home Minister. Other members are Cabinet Secretary, Home Secretary, Secretary of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Secretary Tourism, and Secretary of Tribal Welfare. In fact, from these secretaries, you can identify the development that is not only the development economy wise, but also not only tourism, but also tribal welfare, but also climate change. So that means sustainable development they are thinking for. You can see from that how many secretaries are being involved out from which ministry, right? So the idea is the holistic development, keeping in mind the marine and the territorial biodiversity of the island as well, depending upon the carrying capacity of the island, scientifically assess carrying capacity. Okay. So till now, island this plan has been prepared for the 4 islands of the Andaman Nicobar and 5 islands of the Lakshadweep, and the second phase more islands will be taken. So obviously all islands are not there in this particular scheme. Which is the scheme? Holistic development of the island program. So the option will be first statement wrong, second statement right, third statement wrong, and then second option becomes right. Okay. Chalo. Next question is question from modern history. Consider the following pair: socio-economic reformers and their books. First is Jyotiba Phule Gulamgiri, Pandita Ramabai Stri Purustulna, Ishwarchand Vidyasagar Bahu Viva. Such questions are very, very important because the personalities are very important with respect to your modern history. If you have looked at the mains paper last year, this year, or the previous year prelims paper, you will find that a lot of questions are being asked based upon the personalities. So which become very, very important for us. Okay? Chalo. So Jyotiba Phule for Gulamgiri, Pandita Ramabai Stri Purush Tulna, and Ishwarchand Vidyasagar Bahu Viva. You can pause the question and try to answer the question as well. Now Jyotiba Phule, yes, he was the one who wrote this Gulamgiri. We are not reading too much about Jyotiba Phule. Somewhere else we can read about him. So he talked about he was a Dalit activist. B.R. Ambedkar considered him as his own guru, right? So his Gulamgiri talked about the idea of the interconnectedness of the economic and the cultural subordination, that how this cultural subordination impacts the economic subordination, and that creates a vicious cycle. It also talked about a lot of, they make a lot of myth, for example, a lot of lot of talks about all the forecasts, origination of the forecast. This is being there, for example, in the books such as Manusmriti. So he has broken all those ideas with the reason in his book. So it is a very reasoned document on your caste. Then you have the book that is Stri Purush Tulna. Stri means women, Purush means men, and Tulna means comparison. So this is the book that is written by Tarabai Shinde, a women rights activist who protested against the patriarchy in the caste system in the 19th century. So in this book, Stri Purush Tulna, the comparison between the women and the male, she criticized the social differences which are being done for the male and female. For example, that the women should have this parda and women should be behind we should speak less, and so many social differences which are there. Right? So she was the one who has written this book, not Pandita Ramabai. She was also the member of the Satya Sodhak Samaj. So these are the personalities that you need to remember. Tarabai Shinde, Pandita Ramabai, Jyotiba Phule, Savitri Bai Phule, and these personalities. Very, very important. Then Ishwachand Vidyasagar book, that is Bahu Viva. A lot of books have been written by Ishwachand Vidyasagar, who was instrumental in the Widow Remarriage Act in 1856, passed in the times of the Lord Dalhousie. Right? So he was a great scholar and reformer and principal of Sanskrit College. He has written this book, that is Bahu Viva. So the answer is, the first statement is right, second statement is wrong, third statement is right. Stri Purush Tulna was written by the Tarabai Shinde. ठीक है, चलो, let's move to the last question. So consider the following statements about Hampi. So it's a universal UNESCO World Heritage Site located in Karnataka, state of India, the capital city of the Vijayanagar Empire. Hampi stone chariot is a shrine dedicated to Shiva. Which of the following statement is right? Interesting question, very important one, because Hampi is one of your UNESCO World Heritage Sites. All the World Heritage Sites are very, very important, especially the southern ones and in the MP belt. Okay? These are very, very important. So we need to prepare about Hampi. Yes, so Hampi, the first statement is right. Yet it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site situated in the Karnataka. It is at the Tungabhadra. It lies at the Tungabhadra river. So very important fact that you also need to remember. On Hampi, UPSC has previously asked a lot of questions. So I'll try to keep those questions nearby as well. It's a capital of the Vijayanagar Empire. It was the capital of the Vijayanagar Empire. It predates the Vijayanagar Empire. But for example, a lot of evidences of the Ashokan epigraphy are found, mention about Ramayana. It finds its mention in the Ramayana and Puranas. Religious center, because Virupaksha temple was there. Hampi stone chariot, then Shiva is not worshipped here. Garud is worshipped here. So inside the Vathal complex, Garud is being worshipped and the stone chariot is made on this. So this is your stone chariot in Hampi. Hampi stone chariot. Okay? Chalo. So with this, we wrap up the session. 5 questions we have discussed. The first question, Northeastern Council. Second question, with respect to your Island Development Authority. Then question, economic justice. Then question on Hampi. And then before Hampi, we have discussed one question on the books. Before that, we have discussed the agriculture. We have discussed the e-governance initiative. And then we have discussed some of the initiatives of the governance. So with this, we'll wrap up the session. Next time when we'll meet, we will meet in the international affair classes. So let's see. The first statement is right. Second statement is right. Third statement is wrong. So we'll see you in the next class. Till then, bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.